Hello, everyone, and welcome to 0 a Pointless Football Podcast for fans and non-fans alike. Where we pit someone who knows some football, that would be me, Fixxxer, against someone who knows absolutely nothing about football, but could talk for how long this time, Tulkas?
I don't know. You're gonna have to time me. We'll see how long Julius Caesar ends up in the end.
An undetermined amount of time about how a fight would go between the Vikings and Buccaneers, and the person providing the illogical arguments is Tulkas. What's up, Tulkas?
Woo! Woo! It's me. We're back again. This is week 5. We've done 5 weeks in a row. Aren't you proud of us, Fixxxer?
The week's not over with yet. We still got to record.
Oh.
So our scores last week, we tied. We both had.
Really?
Yes, we had a decent week. I was 10-6, and you were 10-6.
Ooh, that's impressive.
Yeah, considering your arguments, yes, that is impressive.
Hey, look at me. It's Diesel, man. Now I have Diesel on my side. I can't lose.
He got you a free point, didn't he?
Yeah, giddy up.
All right, so our total scores so far this season, in case you guys aren't keeping tabs, I am 37-27, which is fairly respectable considering all the upsets that we've had. I'm pretty satisfied with it. And Tulkas, you are 33-31.
33. Ooh, look at me. Who's winning? I'm winning.
You're above 500, and for your strategy, that's respectable.
What does the word helped mean?
Helped.
Helped. H-E-L-T. What does helped mean?
It's similar to held, I would think.
Okay. And you also spelled harassed with 3 R's.
Did I?
Yep.
I've been heavily medicated the past 3 weeks.
Ooh, I wouldn't be heavily medicated. If I was a medication, what effect would I have? What would my symptoms be?
You would be... Well, you wouldn't be Xanax, that's for sure, right?
I don't know what... Is Xanax the one that makes you sleep?
I'm sure it makes some people sleep.
Okay, cool.
All right, let's talk about some football. What's our first game? Thursday night. The Indianapolis Colts are at the New England Patriots. Your Colts are playing well, Tulkas.
Woo!
Andrew Luck had a fantastic game against the Texans last week, throwing for 460 yards and 4 touchdowns. But they had no running game to speak of, and their leading rusher had just 16 yards. That's bad, isn't it?
Yeah.
There you go. Their defense managed 7 sacks, and somehow this team still found a way to lose. The Patriots reminded us who they were against the Dolphins and avoided going 1-3. Brady didn't have his best day, but it was good enough. I think they held Miami to under 200 yards of offense total. I'm no longer hating on the Colts, but I think the Patriots will win this week at home. They got to be careful, though. Luck is playing well, and the Colts seem to be no joke like I thought they were. So I think it'll be a good game, but I think the Patriots will win.
So who won between the Patriots and the Dolphins?
The Patriots beat them pretty badly.
I see. So it turns out that their tea was potent after all. Interesting. Yes. Well, anyway, what I find myself wondering is how could anyone hate on the Colts? How could you do that to me, Fixxxer? How could you? Tell me how you could hate on the Colts.
I'm not hating on the Colts. I just didn't trust them.
Well, you said you were no longer hating on the Colts, which implies that in the past you were hating on the Colts. So why were you hating on the Colts at the time that you were hating on the Colts?
That's just sports hyperbole.
Oh, well. Regardless, after some frantic research into the use of cavalry in the Revolutionary War, I can conclude that while cavalry units were few during the war, they were nonetheless invaluable for reasons that included intimidation, scouting, and resource harassment/denial. Indeed, my source claims that in the 18th century, armies relied on horses and oxen to move their artillery and supplies as well as their cavalry. Without the animals, they would be paralyzed. Therefore, if we assume that the more elderly horses would side with their younger brethren and also abscond or defect, it seems clear that without them, the Patriots are destined to lose the war. However, it seems important to note this letter from General George Washington, wherein he claims that in such a broken country, full of stone walls, there is no enemy more to be despised if they cannot leave the road, so that any party attacking them may be always sure of doing it to advantage by taking post in the woods by the roads or along the stone walls where they will not venture to follow them. Thus, while I stand by my original guess, I would not invite our viewers to put too much stock in a Hoosier victory. And my source for this is revolutionarywararchives.org/cavalry.html, because it is important to cite one's sources in academic endeavors such as this.
This very important academic endeavor, eh?
Indeed.
So wait. You end that with, I would not invite our viewers to put too much stock in a Hoosier victory. So who are you picking then?
I'm picking the Colts. That's what I'm saying. That I think that the Colts will win because the Colts are an invaluable part of the army. Without Colts, you don't have logistics and supplies, and you can't move the army. You're paralyzed, and therefore you're sitting ducks. However, the Colts by themselves will not be a very powerful force fighting against the Patriots. So the question is, whether the Colts are able to ally with the Redskins, and also if they're able to if the Patriots are able to if they're it depends on how long the war lasts. Like if the war is only a few days fighting the Colts, then it doesn't matter if you can't pull your artillery because your artillery is already
the war is about 3 hours long.
Yeah. Something like that. So it all depends. Like I'm saying that if George, long-term war, Colts win. But if the war is more short-term, then they might not win. But I still think they are likely to win. Therefore, who's your victory?
All right, next up, we're moving over to Sunday. The Jacksonville Jaguars at the Kansas City Chiefs. The Jaguars beat the Jets as expected last week. They harassed Sam Darnold all day and held the Jets to just 34 yards rushing. Their own rushing game seems to be a bit of a problem still. The Chiefs, they beat the Broncos in one of their better games last week. Wow, I got typos all over the place in my stuff, don't I?
I know.
I never typo.
The Broncos.
Good thing this is not like viewer facing stuff, right?
It could be.
I watched the whole game, and Pat Mahomes seems like the right guy, man. He wasn't perfect, and the offense sputtered a bit, but he makes smart decisions, and his team trusts him. I think the guy looks like the real deal for now. We've seen it before where someone looks great for the first 4 games of the season and then dies, but whatever. So Denver did show that this offense can be slowed down, though. This should help teams like the Jaguars this Sunday in the future. The Jags need to get their running game going if they want to beat the Chiefs. It'll be a good game, and I don't think they're going to get that running game going, so I am picking the Chiefs to win again.
I am proud that my Vietnam War analogy from last week served so well. Hashtag 10 out of 10. Now, both the Jaguars and the Chiefs are accustomed to fighting in natural terrain, all stealthy-like. However, in this instance, the Jaguars are being forced to sally out onto the Great Plains of Kansas, where they will lack... Actually, Kansas City's in Missouri, right?
Yes.
Is Missouri in the Great Plains region?
I would think some of it is considered Great Plains.
They're being forced to sally out a brief distance onto the Great Plains of western Missouri, where they will lack the arboreal cover to which they are ever accustomed, and therefore I believe the Chiefs shall, as the good South Ron proclaimed, win.
Awesome. Atlanta Falcons are playing at the Pittsburgh Steelers. 19 yards, Tulkas, 19. That's all the Steelers could muster on the ground against Baltimore last week. In related news, Le'Veon Bell said that he would report in Week 7, which is only 2 weeks away. Why Week 7, you ask, Tulkas?
What does report mean?
He will join the team. He has not been playing.
What does 19 yards mean?
That means that they only ran 19 yards on the ground the entire game.
Okay, then I will ask, why Week 7?
All right, why Week 7? Because that guarantees him a paycheck and his eligibility as a free agent next season. So he reports week 7. At the end of the year, he becomes a free agent and he can leave the team. In other words, he's gone. He's not going to be a Steeler after this year.
That's sad. I think that maybe just steel just isn't a good material for making bells. What do you think?
That could very well be it.
Mm.
All right, the Falcons. Metal. The Falcons have burned me 2 weeks in a row now by losing to the Bengals last week. Matt Ryan, he's having a great season, but their defense is feeling a little bit off this year. I'm jumping ship. The Steelers have shown they can produce without Bell, but a good defense can still shut them down. I don't think the Falcons are currently playing that way. They can. I think they got the talent on defense, but right now it isn't happening. I'm going with the Steelers.
I believe that the metallic composition of the Steelers should be impervious to the beaks and talons of the Falcons. Therefore, I feel the Steelers shall win.
Short and sweet.
Well, you got to save up my time for what is coming.
Yes, it's a good point. I would like to warn the listeners at this point that coming up during the Vikings and Eagles game, Tulkas has a monologue prepared.
It's not a monologue. It's a narrative.
Okay, he's got a narrative prepared. All right, next up. Miami Dolphins are playing at the Cincinnati Bengals. The Dolphins' great start was reined in by the Patriots last week. Ryan Tannehill was benched in the fourth quarter in favor of Brock Lobster. How do you feel about Brock Lobster?
I like lobsters. They're yummy.
There you go. Still, they only managed 116 passing yards total, not to mention just 56 rushing yards. They are woeful. Woeful. They can play. They cannot. Look at that. I even screwed up a contraction, and that's one of my pet peeves. They cannot play like that and expect to beat the Bengals this week. Andy Dalton and the Bengals, they put up 37 points on the Falcons. He had 340 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 1 interception. Their running game was okay without Mixon, to my surprise. It should be better this week, though, since he will be returning. They haven't outright said he'll be back, but everything points to him being back. Anyways, Bengals win.
Brock means badger, so he's going to be half badger and half lobster. I don't even know what that looks like.
What's an Osweiler?
Isn't that like a dog?
No, an Osweiler.
I don't know, but he said Brock Lobster.
Yes, that's his nickname, Brock Lobster.
Yeah, so he's half badger, half lobster.
Obviously.
Why is Osweiler relevant?
That's his last name.
Yeah, but why is it his last name relevant to his nickname?
Well, I don't know. I figured you'd have an answer.
Well,
who's going to win the game?
I don't have an answer because there is no answer. Anyway, according to Grace's BengalTiger.wordpress.com, unlike other cats, Bengal tigers are very strong swimmers. Bengal tigers can generally swim several kilometers to cross a river for hunting purposes. Even cubs will play in the shallow water and will even bathe themselves in rivers. If we presume that the dolphins are swimming up the Ohio River, we can likewise presume that while the dolphins will still have the advantage in their aquatic domain, they will be utterly unable to attack the tigers at home, and so they will ultimately succumb to the jaws and claws of the kittens.
So this is Grace's BengalTiger.wordpress.com?
Yeah.
Is this a well-known Bengal tiger source?
Well, that's for the viewers to decide, isn't it? This is why I cite my source, so the viewers can go and discover for themselves if I've chosen a good source or a bad source.
Oh, well, for the future, when I write all my stuff at the end for the featured game, that's all from Wikipedia. Go look it up yourself.
Giddy up.
All right, next up, the Denver Broncos are playing at the New York Jets. Sam Darnold managed just 167 yards and a touchdown last week while the Jets' running attack was held to just 34 yards. The defense let Bortles throw almost 400 yards against it, too. Jets are not looking good. The Broncos, they choked late versus the Chiefs last week. They almost had it. Case Keenum missed a wide-open pass that would have sealed the game for them. Alas, he did not make it. They lost. Such is the way it'll go with Case Keenum. I think they'll bounce back pretty easily against the Jets. I don't think they'll have any issues. Broncos win.
I love it. Blake Bortles and Case Keenum, the two champions of the universe.
Yep.
Are we going to have more Fitzmagic this week? I always love the Fitzmagic segment.
No. They are not playing this week.
Wait. Teams don't play?
Yes, there are bye weeks.
Oh.
Where teams... So right now, there's 2 weeks that aren't playing, and I think it's the Buccaneers and... oh gosh. I don't remember the other team. It was the Panthers last week. Wait, hold on.
Huh. Fascinating.
It is indeed. It is the Chicago Bears and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers that are not playing this week.
Wow. That's cool. Okay, now we know. Anyway, I would argue that if the Broncos are nimble enough to ride the bull from whence they derive their names, they are also presumably nimble enough to dodge the missile of the Jets. And as we saw last week, the Jets can't fire into the jungle where the Panthers, it was Panthers, like, what were the Panthers? It was Jaguars. Yeah, whatever. Broncos win.
Pretty much the same animal anyways.
Yeah.
All right, the Baltimore Ravens are playing at the Cleveland Browns. The Ravens put together a solid game against the Steelers last week. They're facing their past this week in the Browns. Do you know what that means, Tulkas? You probably don't.
They'll be they're facing their past this week. Presumably, it means that like the Ravens, like they once lost to the Browns, and this defeat was demoralizing, and it has haunted them ever since. And now they face the Browns again, and all these traumatic memories rise to the forefront, and they cannot imagine fighting the Browns, that thing that tore them down so long ago. How can they fight it back? How can they fight back? They're facing the past, and they just can't do it.
So this may surprise you in that you had a lot of things right in there. The problem was you had a lot of the who's wrong. So the Baltimore Ravens used to be known as the Cleveland Browns.
Whoa!
Their owner moved them over to... They were a dreadful team for quite a long time. They moved to Baltimore, spurning Cleveland. Their fans were pretty upset. Their fans are still upset over it. They moved to Baltimore, where they eventually won a championship, and Cleveland was awarded a new team, which they then called the Browns. So this is the old Cleveland Browns playing against the new Cleveland Browns. Anyway.
Ooh, that's delightful.
The Browns lost an exciting game last week to the Raiders. Nick Chubb had 3 rushes for 105 yards and 2 touchdowns. Baker Mayfield had an okay game, but they need him to protect the ball better. He had 2 interceptions. He had 2 lost fumbles. Their defense gave up way too many yards and points to the Raiders. This will be another passionate game for them. But if they played like they did last week, they won't beat the Ravens. I think they need a better performance. My heart tells me that the Browns will take care of business at home, but my brain tells me that the Ravens have beaten better teams and they should beat the Browns as well. Ravens win.
What does your stomach tell you?
I'm hungry because I have not had dinner yet.
What does your left big toe tell you?
It's aching.
What does your knee tell you?
Also aching.
I find the remark about the Browns taking care of business at home amusing. But regardless, as all blackbirds, the Ravens should be immune to the Browns' mastery over their eponymous color. While this fight is, as with all the Browns battles, difficult to visualize, I shall tentatively and without much evidence give the Ravens a victory.
Are all Ravens black? I mean, there's multiple types of Ravens, right?
No. I did look this up, actually. I did look this up, and like the closest relative to the raven is like a brown-necked bird thing, but all ravens themselves are, unless they're like albino or black, I think.
Don't they have like some purple in them?
I mean, black and purple are sort of the same thing.
That's blasphemous. All right, next up, we got the Green Bay Packers playing at the Detroit Lions. The Lions almost came from behind to beat the Cowboys, but lost on a field goal with no time left. Matthew Stafford threw the ball well, 24 of 30 passing for 300 yards and 2 touchdowns. The running game was okay. Johnson had a fantastic average per touch, but they didn't get him enough touches. If I remember correctly, it was like 8 touches. I don't know. The Packers, they slaughtered the Bills 22-0. This kind of shows how the Vikings are in disarray when the Bills spanked them. It's going to be a good game this week in the black and blue division. I think the Packers defense may have played well versus the Bills, but Josh Allen isn't Matthew Stafford, is he, Tulkas?
No. Josh Allen and Matthew Stafford, they are two different people from two different dimensions, playing two different games in two different ways.
I couldn't agree more. I think the Lions pull out a win here.
I have an idea. Okay, how about we take all the bits of me that you edit out, and then like after we finish the series, you all like release them as like a blooper reel.
How much do you know I edit out? Do you listen to our recording?
No, but I assume you edit things out.
I may or may not.
You say you edit things out. Well, I don't know. Who knows? Only you know. Anyway, the Packers will feed the Lions meat until the latter have engorged themselves, and then they will be easy kills, so the Packers will win.
Simple as that, eh?
Well, as I said, gotta save the time.
Okay, New York Giants at the Carolina Panthers, who were coming off a bye last week. Eli Manning had 255 yards and 1 touchdown versus a defense whose secondary has been awful. Barkley managed only 44 yards. This team has really struggled to put up the points so far this year. Carolina had their bye week, as I said. They signed Eric Reed, though, which I think is going to help their defense. Look for McCaffrey to have a big day on the ground. I think the Panthers will win.
Yeah, the Panthers are likely nimble enough to dodge the Giants' cumbersome blows and secure the victory.
Cool. Saving it up. Tennessee Titans at the Buffalo Bills. Well, it happened, Tulkas. The Titans beat the Eagles in overtime last week. It makes no sense. I don't know what to make of the Eagles or the Vikings this year. Both struggling. Anyways, credit to the Titans for playing well and beating a pretty good team. They did it so without a running game. Mariota was their leading rusher with 46 yards on 10 carries. 10 carries!
10 carries?
Your quarterback should not be getting 10 carries, Tulkas. You need to stop. You're not going to win often doing that. Luckily, they play the Bills this week. The Bills showed last week that their demolishing of the Vikings was more due to the Vikings collapsing than the Bills ascending. They're not going to perform any better this week. Titans will win.
Which did I predict would win, the Titans or the Eagles?
Well, I mean, we've got a chart here. You picked the Eagles to beat the Titans, and you were wrong.
Oh. Did you pick the Titans?
No, I also was wrong.
Oh. Well, you see, we are tied there. Woo. Right. I have to talk now. While the Bills may be able to avoid the Titans for a time, eventually my boy Kronos will stomp all over their faces, not to be confused with Kronos, who is the Lord of Time.
Gotcha. All right, the Oakland Raiders at the Los Angeles Chargers. Friendly reminder that the Raiders are moving to Las Vegas next year.
Really? Oh, why are they doing that?
Because the owner feels like he doesn't make enough money in Oakland.
Ooh, I want to make money in Oakland.
I think the final nail in the coffin was he wanted a new stadium and the city would not pay for it, so he's moving the team.
If any of our viewers is a wealthy individual living in Oakland, hire me and let me work for you.
There you go. So the Chargers almost blew it against CJ Beathard, a CJ Beathard-led 49er team. This should not have been close, yet it was. Not only was it close, they spent half the game behind. What is football even, Tulkas?
I don't know. It sounds lame.
Chargers behind the Niners. Anyway, the Raiders beat the Browns in overtime. Their offensive line is having a hard time protecting Derek Carr. 3 sacks plus 9 tackles for loss last week. That's not good. Carr threw 58 times, but it wasn't for a lack of a running game as Lynch had 20 carries for 130 yards. Just was a shootout of a game is all. It'll be much tougher for them against the Chargers, though. I have a feeling there will be more Raiders fans in the stands than Chargers fans. It's probably going to be pretty pathetic, actually. If you guys have a chance, tune in at any point during that game, preferably early on, because that's when most of the fans are there. And you'll probably see it's going to be like a 4-to-1 ratio of Raiders fans to Chargers fans in the Chargers home stadium. Anyways.
But the Raiders are abandoning Oakland, so wouldn't their fans be mad at them?
Yes, but the Chargers fans are also mad at them because they moved from San Diego.
Ooh, San Diego.
Yes.
So many cities.
Yep. Anyways, Philip Rivers and the Chargers will win as long as their defense does not play like it did last week.
I, myself, predict that the Chargers will charge, the Raiders will raid their supply lines, and Army marches on its stomach, and eventually the Chargers can charge no longer. However, there is always a chance the Chargers will pulverize their foes if they can simply connect. I do think that the Raiders will win. However, Fixxxer claimed that there would be a bit of a shootout. So, I just caution the Raiders to try to avoid the shootout, try to avoid pitched battle. If you engage the Chargers in pitched battle, you can't beat them. You have to do the runaround. You have to go get the supply line and go all cut off their foragers and raid and do. You got to do the raiding, not the fighting. Yo.
There you go. Los Angeles Rams. We're in the Sunday afternoon games, by the way. Los Angeles Rams at the Seattle Seahawks. The Rams roughed up the Vikings secondary last week. Jared Goff threw for 465 yards and 5 touchdowns. The offense is on a roll, and they shouldn't slow down anytime soon. The Seahawks, they lost Earl Thomas for the year due to a broken leg. He gave the team the finger as he was carted off. Did you see that?
No.
All right. He flipped
That's
up the bird.
mean. Why would he do that?
He was holding out for a better contract. He's one of the best safeties in the league, and he wasn't being paid like it. So he was holding out for a better contract, and they wouldn't give it to him. So he gave in, went to play, broke his leg, which means he ain't getting paid. So you're not going to see him in a Seattle uniform ever again. He's mightily upset.
Oh, that's so sad. Oh, yep. I want to give him a hug.
There you go. So anyways, they beat the Cardinals last week, but that's not exactly something to brag about. They'll get stomped by the Rams, especially without Thomas. The Rams will win.
I, contrarily, am of the opinion that as the Rams lack any ranged attack, they cannot touch the Seahawks, who will swoop and soar with all the nimbleness of their Lorgonian patron, who, by the way, said, I was his favorite viewer yesterday. Yay!
Can't the Rams launch each other into the sky?
No.
Like, let's say you took Bob, right? Bob the Ram, and you set him in the middle of a field, and he's just standing there on all fours. And then you get Charlie and Zeus, 2 other Rams in the field, to the sides and running distance. And they build up some speed, and they ram Bob in the butt, launching him into the sky at the Seahawks. Is this not a sound strategy? Not very realistic, is it?
It's better than nothing. I'm not really sure what to make of your strategy. It's either brilliantly brilliant or brilliantly unbrilliant.
We'll find out next Saturday who's right about that. All right. Next up, the Minnesota Vikings at the Philadelphia Eagles. Brace yourselves, viewers. The teams from last year's conference finals meet again in Philadelphia this week. The Vikings lost to the Rams in probably the best Thursday night game in years. Probably since they brought back Thursday night games. Their offense played well, but they had to abandon the run yet again. Mike Zimmer knows that this defense has huge issues if it's giving up this many points while it's this talented. He's got something to fix here. It looks like to me that the teams have figured out how to trick the Vikings into getting Barr on the slot receiver going upfield, and the Vikings got to stop that. They got to make sure Barr is not... He's fast for stopping the run, but if you put a wide receiver on him, it's game over, and teams are finding that out and exploiting that. Anyways, Zim is one of the best defensive minds in football, and look for him to fix it, I think, sooner rather than later. The Eagles lost to the Titans in overtime last week. They shouldn't have, but somehow they did. It's not that Wentz was playing poorly. He's not. He played pretty well. The Vikings have one of the toughest schedules, and if they don't turn it around anytime soon, their season's going to be in trouble. Look for them to bounce back. I think the Vikings will win, but I think it's going to be a very good game. Really, it's a toss-up.
The year.
Proceed.
The year was negative 2052 AN. The place, the English Channel. Roman General Gaius Julius Caesar stands in command of 2 legions aboard 80 transport ships, ready to land near Dover and subdue the native Britons as penance for the aid that the latter had lent to Caesar's Gallic foes in years prior. I will let the man himself describe what happened next. But the Britons, upon perceiving the design of the Romans, sent forward their cavalry and charioteers, a class of warriors of whom it is their practice to make great use in their battles, and following with the rest of their forces, endeavored to prevent our men landing. And this was the greatest difficulty for the following reasons, namely, because our ships, on account of their great size, could be stationed only in deep water, and our soldiers, in places unknown to them, with their hands embarrassed, oppressed with a large and heavy weight of armor, had at the same time to leap from the ships, stand amid the waves, and encounter the enemy, whereas they, either on dry ground or advancing a little way into the water, free in all their limbs in places thoroughly known to them, could confidently throw their weapons and spur on their horses, which were accustomed to this kind of service. Dismayed by these circumstances and altogether untrained in this mode of battle, our men did not all exert the same vigor and eagerness which they had been wont to exert in engagements on dry ground. When Caesar observed this, he ordered the ships of war, the appearance of which was somewhat strange to the barbarians and the motion more ready for service, to be withdrawn a little from the transport vessels and to be propelled by their oars, and be stationed toward the open flank of the enemy, and the enemy to be beaten off and driven away with slings, arrows, and engines, which plan was of great service to our men. For the barbarians, being startled by the form of our ships and the motion of our oars and the nature of our engines, which was strange to them, stopped, and shortly after retreated a bit. And while our men were hesitating whether they should advance to the shore, chiefly on account of the depth of the sea, he who carried the eagle of the 10th Legion, after supplicating the gods that the matter might turn out favorably to the legion, exclaimed, "Leap, fellow soldiers, unless you wish to betray your eagle to the enemy. I, for my part, will perform my duty to the Commonwealth and my general." When he had said this with a loud voice, he leaped from the ship and proceeded to bear the eagle toward the enemy. Then our men, exhorting one another that so great a disgrace should not be incurred, all leaped from the ship. When those in the nearest vessel saw them, they speedily followed and approached the enemy. Now, we must consider how to apply this event to the upcoming battle. The Romans may clearly be taken as representative of the Vikings, both come from a faraway land by boat seeking to land, loot, and subdue the native populace.
Wait,
Yet,
the Romans are the Vikings?
Yeah. I'm saying that they parallel the Vikings, like the.
Isn't the eagle the symbol of Rome?
I'm getting to that.
Okay. All right, go ahead. Go forth.
Okay. Yet, while the Vikings are set to face the Eagles, in this historical encounter, the Eagles were on the same side as the Romans. You see, I'm addressing it. Literally, my next sentence was addressing your concern.
Well, it's the next sentence. It's not exactly like I heard it yet.
You had the whole day to... Okay, whatever. In this historical encounter, the Eagles were on the same side as the Romans, serving as their military standards. So, as Fixxxer noted, this seems kind of strange. Well, it is of no consequence, for even as the aforementioned Aquilifer chucked his eagle amidst his foes, so will the Vikings find their military standards among and as their foes. Therefore, surely they shall charge and attempt to earn their submission, that the Eagles may be vassals instead of rivals. You see, the thing about the story is the Romans don't want the eagles to be held by the enemy, and in this case, the eagles are being held by the enemy. Therefore, it doesn't matter whether the eagles nominally belong to the Romans or not. The point is that the Romans/Vikings are seeking to secure the eagles, and now they have more eagles that they want to secure. So you're wrong, Fixxxer. For though Caesar was eventually driven from Britain, having accomplished little, it is said that but one eagle thrown amidst the enemy won him the battle. Well, here we have not one eagle, but many. Indeed, one eagle for each foeman. Each foeman is an eagle. Therefore, the Vikings cannot help but win. Thank you for your time. And also, Fixxxer spelled it's as in like it is, but there was like ITS without an apostrophe, and that bothers me.
Where did I do that?
I put asterisks around it.
Oh, in this informal type of thing, apostrophes aren't very important.
Like, Zimmer knows that this defense has huge issues if it's giving up this many points. Like not it is, but if it's
yeah, like, I don't use apostrophes. Look at all of these. There's no apostrophes anywhere.
But But
anyways,
you just said earlier. You said earlier in the episode that like messing up contractions was like your biggest pet peeve, and you can't do a contraction if you don't have an apostrophe because the apostrophe represents the thing you're contracting.
No. My mistake was typing can instead of can't. That was the error I made, not the lack of an apostrophe. Anyways, after that huge quote-unquote narrative, I'm not sure who you want to win. Is it the Vikings?
Yes!
All right, moving on. Arizona Cardinals at the San Francisco 49ers. The 49ers played a respectable game against a good Chargers team last week. Is it Bethard or Bethard? I don't even remember. That's how much this guy has played in the NFL. He didn't wow anyone with his numbers, but it was enough to keep them in the game. The Cardinals started Josh Rosen in their loss to Seattle. He went 15 of 27 for 180 yards and a touchdown. It's not great, but he protected the ball. This will be a learning season for him and the Cardinals. They may not get a victory here, or they may get a victory here and there, but it's all about bringing up Rosen at this point. They may even squeeze out a win against the 49ers here. The Niners still have a decent defense, but I'll never say a CJ Beathard team is sure to win any games. I think the Niners win here, but don't be shocked if Rosen finds his first win.
We Hoosiers are possessed of great moral righteousness, and so our state bird cannot help but triumph over the greed and licentiousness of their Western foes, while their long sojourn from the fatherland has indubitably wreaked havoc upon their morale. This chance to channel the temperance of their true home must surely carry them to victory.
It was a long sojourn?
Yeah, because they're in Arizona.
Yeah, but how long? When did they leave?
I don't know, whenever they went to Arizona.
Okay. All right, so you got the Cardinals winning, all right.
Yeah.
Next up, the Dallas Cowboys against the Houston Texans in Houston for Sunday Night Football. The Texans secondary was downright abused last week. Deshaun Watson
abused!
They were abused.
Abused.
Deshaun Watson was sacked 7 times, but they managed to beat the Colts.
No!
Wait. They didn't manage to beat the Colts, did they?
Yay! They did beat the Colts.
By 3 points. Cowboys finally proved me wrong last week while beating the Lions. Dak had 255 yards and 2 touchdowns. Zeke had 25 carries for 152 yards. Yes, another typo there, Tulkas. So can this line protect Dak Prescott from J.J. Watt? Can they, Tulkas?
Well, if the line is composed of 25 aircraft carriers, then yes, they probably can.
They cannot.
They can.
Expect him, that is J.J. Watt, to force Dak and or Zeke to put the ball on the ground numerous times. I don't think this defense can stop Watson either. Texans break their losing streak, and no, they don't break their losing streak. They won last week. Texans win this week too.
You had issues with this.
I did. Like I said, it's been a rough day.
So the Cowboys and the Texans seem like the same thing to me. So I'm not sure like on what criteria I can pick. Like, but I've decided that once a week I'm going to let Diesel pick. We're going to have our Diesel picks, the new video tradition. So I will leave this Cowboys versus Texans to Diesel, the great, and it's his pick. Also, I always thought that his name was Donald Grass, but recently I saw his name is Donald Grass. Do you think he changed his name, or do you think I'm just insane?
You're probably just insane.
Okay, good talk.
Anyways, for those of you who don't know, Diesel picked New Orleans last week to win for Tulkas, and he was right. Got a point. All right, featured game. Monday Night Football. The Washington Redskins, coming off a bye week, are playing at the New Orleans Saints. So let's talk about the Redskins. The Redskins started out as the Boston Braves in 1932. In 1933, they moved to play in Fenway Park. I bet you didn't know that, Tulkas, that football teams used to play in Fenway Park.
I don't know what Fenway Park is.
There you go. So the 1933 Boston Braves moved to Fenway Park and then changed their name to the Boston Redskins. They hired a Sioux head coach, which some have said was the reason they changed their name from the Braves to the Redskins. Though, of course, later we found out that the guy was not Sioux at all, and it was just all a marketing ploy. Of course, the Redskins have always denied this, but they're lying. Anyways, no one ever seems to bring this up when they discuss whether or not a team in 2018 should be called the Redskins. So in 1937, they relocated to Washington, as in D.C., where they won the championship their very first year playing there.
If I was a marketing employee, what marketing employee would I be?
You would be a multi-level marketing employee.
Ooh. Whoa, that's so cool! So like Neil would be the guy at the top, and then I would be like the guy below him. And then all the
Yes, you would work for Amway.
That's great. May I start a multi-level marketing thing in your Discord?
No, absolutely not.
Please. No, look, you could give me a whole new channel. It could just be titled Tulkas' MLM, and then I could get like people in, and like they could buy things from me, and we could like channel money up the organization. It would be super fun.
Good luck getting people to buy shit from you.
Okay.
No one clicks on my affiliate links.
No, tell you what. You can be put on the same tier as me, so you'll make just as much money as I do, okay?
Wait.
You'll be the owner of your own small business.
Will you be my recruit, or will I be your recruit?
No, we'll be each other's recruit. Like we'll be at the same level.
No, that's not how multi-level marketing works. I want credit for everybody you bring in.
No. But that's not fair.
All right, how about we talk about the New Orleans Saints? They were founded on November 1st, 1966. November 1st being All Saints Day in Catholicism. Well, actually, it's all of Christianity celebrates that, right? Or is it different dates for different types of Christianity? Do you know?
I don't know, but capitalism doesn't celebrate that day.
Yeah. Okay. So anyways.
We could. Do you think we should?
I'm pretty sure Catholics started it, and Catholics are largely represented in New Orleans. But the team itself specifically cites when the Saints go marching in as the inspiration for their name, being that it's a jazz song, and New Orleans is famous for its jazz, etc. Anyways, the team's birth is somewhat more controversial than that. The NFL commissioner at the time, I think it was Pete Rozelle, was looking to merge the AFL and the NFL, and he needed congressional approval to do so. Specifically, he needed an exemption for the antitrust laws that would prevent such a merger. And in order to buy the Congress Antitrust Committee's exemption, he awarded a team to New Orleans in a backroom deal because two of the senators on that committee were from Louisiana.
Woo!
How do you feel about that?
I think that's great. It's really nice that the politicians got to reward their constituents. Everyone wins. You always say mean things about my favorite politicians, but I love them. They're my broskies. I was thinking yesterday that if I was a politician, I would be Boris Johnson. Do you agree?
Oh my God. Anyways, moving on from Brexit in any way, shape, or form, they got the team in New Orleans, and the NFL got their votes, and was awarded an antitrust exemption, and the leagues merged. See? Politics has always been corrupt.
Ooh, you edited out the bad word. I'm so proud of you. You're getting mature. Oh.
Holy cow, did the Saints win without Drew Brees throwing for a touchdown? 0 touchdowns on the day, and they still pulled off a win. When was the last time that happened, Tulkas?
1980-10.
That's exactly right. All right. Alvin Kamara averaged over 7 yards per carry while carrying this offense last week on his back. The Redskins had their bye week. I think a lot of people are expecting the Saints to stomp the Skins. I think it's going to be a lot closer than people realize, but I still think the Saints will win, and that's it.
The Saints will stomp the Skins.
They will.
There's a lot of imagery conjured by that phrase.
Yep.
Anyway, I looked at the patron saint of Native Americans, who turns out is a lass called Saint Kateri Tekakwitha. She was a Mohawk who had smallpox, except then she pledged herself to Jeebus. The smallpox went away, and she liked to sleep on thorns and burn herself and taint her food and was all sickly and shunned by her Mohawk brethren, and honestly doesn't seem like a particularly fierce warrior. So while I guess I admire her resolve, I'm afraid I've got to give this to those whose skins are possibly, okay, that sounds
Let the
racist.
record show that Tulkas literally typed out ? In his little Excel cell here.
Yeah.
All right. First off, there is a patron saint of Native Americans.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah. She's also the patron saint of the environment and ecology.
I'm looking her up right now.
Okay.
She was baptized as Catherine and informally known as Lily of the Mohawks.
Indeed.
She was Algonquin Mohawk. Interesting.
Yeah.
I did not know we had such a thing. Although
I do my research. I do my research. I do not.
Yeah, but you didn't source your research.
Okay. My source is hang on. Native American saint. I'm going to find this one. Okay, it was www.catholic.org/saints/saint.php?saint_ID = 154.
She took a vow of perpetual virginity.
Yeah. I wasn't going to bring that up on stream, but since you mentioned it. Not stream, video.
Indeed. Oh, looks like I forgot to hit record, Tulkas.
Really?
No. That's it for this week's podcast. You don't have to go all maniacal on us. Your narrative survives this week. All right, thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye, I love you, Diesel. Bye.